Yo, yo, Mark,
Hello.
how you going, man?
I'm doing all right.
You don't really have an accent. That's fucking crazy.
um, I, I mean, I kind of do it. There's some that slip in and out, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, some of you American guys, I have trouble understanding, and I just guess the words. I'm like, I don't know. I think he said that. No,
Well,
this
oh
is
no,
going to be easy.
I've I've been online a lot, so I've had to adjust my speech for the benefit of others. Also, I was in the military, so that also lightened it up a bit.
So you speak Iraqi.
No, no, not quite.
Yeah, man. Like I've
Yeah.
noticed, like I have to change my words all the time for Americans, just because I couldn't be fucked explaining it or arguing. Like we say, oh, you go away for a week, it's a holiday, where you say vacation.
Vacation. Yeah.
So I just say vacation half the time now, just to not have the hassle.
Yeah. Well, fortunately with me, you can speak as you do. For the most part, I get a lot of your words.
That's
And
good.
then yeah, if I don't know something, I'll just ask.
Yeah, I'm pretty used to being more American now. Look at this. My
Okay.
accent sounds like American, right?
I mean, it's still got a bit of the Australian twang, but it is a lot clearer than, maybe someone from Western Australia or something.
I don't have no twang. You're a fucking twang. What the fuck with the twang? No, it is a nasal accent. It is. It is. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
It, it's funny because I was actually listening to something the New Zealand Prime Minister was saying, and it's just like, man, y'all's accents, they're just so close, but then so far at the same time. It's wild.
They're quite different. We think,
Yeah.
but they're a little bit more English, I think, than us.
Yeah, I feel like they're more nasally, like if that's even a thing.
I don't think
It's
so.
just
I don't know.
yeah,
I
I
think
don't
they
know.
got
It's hard to describe for me because it's just like I'm an idiot and I'm just like, oh, it's kind of, but not really. But yeah.
yeah. Well, we always laugh at them because we say the number six is six, but they say sex. It sounds like sex.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
they've been influenced by their Maori culture a lot. We've probably been influenced by the Aboriginal culture more. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, I just think it's we've diverged, which is good.
Hmm.
I don't want
Yeah,
to be
it's a
like a
good thing.
New Zealander.
Yeah, you gotta have your differences.
What do you think of the New Zealand Prime Minister? She's pretty full on, isn't she?
I mean, that was my first time seeing her, and I was just like, okay, wow. I mean, it's not like I'm Googling, New Zealand and their prime minister and seeing what's up. It's just, it's kind of one of those things where, you think it's a guy and you're just like, oh, wow, it's a woman. And she's, kind of young, attractive. All right, cool. Hope she doesn't fuck it
Right.
up.
Woo, woo. She's not attractive.
Yeah.
She's not
I
attractive, dude.
mean, I mean, she's attractive by way is she's not an old fat man.
Well, I guess if that's your standard mark, but she does have a long horse-like face. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
a big
her
animal fucker.
You know what? I am remembering it a little bit more, and I do remember a lot of teeth with the smile.
It's a horsey fucking face, dude.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's
but
probably why she won. She's a winner. She's a thoroughbred.
yeah, purebred at that too. Got some good genes.
I'm just looking at your avatar picture on Twitter, and you got a red hat on.
Yes.
I hate hats, man. It's fucking bothering me. What's with the hats?
It was cold that day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was cold that day, and my hair is pretty short, so if there's a little bit of a breeze while it's cold, it's sending me up the wall. So, I just put a hat on to keep my head warm.
Dude, I'm cold now.
And
I've got
then,
a
uh,
I just wrapped a rug around me. Like you call it a blanket, I suppose. I got in trouble yesterday
mhm.
for this. I called it a rug, and some American guy said it's a fucking blanket, you idiot. But it's the same thing, really. But
I
yeah, it's 70
mean,
degrees here, and I'm freezing.
what?
You heard me.
I
It's
mean, 70 degrees is nice for me, but I mean,
I
I
think over
guess when,
80s where you want to be, 80 up. But 70,
yeah,
I feel cold inside anyway. Out in the sun, it's probably okay. I need the sun.
yeah, 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 that too. But I mean, growing up in Florida, like I've just lived in mostly hot places. So, you saying 70 degrees. Well, I thank you for converting it to American. That's
You're
nothing for
welcome.
me. That's I'm still wearing shorts in 70 degrees.
Yeah, it's cold. I live in Australia, mate. It's fucking ridiculous. I expected
Exactly.
hot and humid,
Yeah,
but you'd be the same. I
exactly.
always think Florida might be the most like Australia in my mind.
Mm, um,
You got
I don't
beaches.
know.
We're a very beachy coastal culture.
Yeah.
You got beaches and
I
shit.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's the state with the second longest coastline in America.
There you
So,
go.
but yeah, I mean, we don't have that desert bit in the middle. It's all pretty wet swampland, pretty much throughout the state. But yeah,
Do
I
you
could see
surf?
that.
Can you surf and shit?
No,
Well,
I
what do you mean?
mean, well, there's not a lot of black surfers.
Why not?
I don't know why not, but there just really isn't. So it's not like I was just like, ooh, man, I should really look into getting into surfing. But no.
You
I
know
mean, I
what?
have snowboarded.
I've never really thought about this because Americans are far more racially conscious than Australians, I think. But I don't think I've seen many Aboriginal surfers, really. I know a few guys from school who used to surf, but generally it is a sport dominated by white dudes. Huh,
Yeah,
there you go.
but I mean, it's not like, I just never really been interested in surfing.
You sort of got to grow up on the beach to surf, I think, like or really close.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, while I didn't grow up far from the beach, it also wasn't that close.
Like how far? Like 10 minutes?
No, it was maybe 30.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm
again,
with you.
it's not far, but it's not close. You
Yeah,
know,
see, my
if
town is probably 20 minutes from the beach, but my
hmm
grandparents lived right on the beach. So I spent every weekend and all the
yeah,
school vacations there just with
hmm
no supervision. So you just pick it up,
oh, okay,
which is,
yeah. I mean, closest I've gotten to surfing is snowboarding, and that was just because I was living in New York, and that was. I mean, what else are you gonna do when it snows?
panic. It's
I
too
mean that
cold,
too.
man.
Yeah, it's definitely you need more than a rug at that point.
Oh, no, you shut down. I can't handle it. So,
Yeah.
so would you say, like, you grew up in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what area is
Yes.
it, like Miami?
I grew up about it's roughly 45 minutes north of Miami in Hollywood.
Hollywood?
Yes.
There's another
There's
Hollywood.
a there are two Hollywoods.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I now work in logistics, so I'm seeing a lot more towns and stuff as we ship products out.
Yeah.
And there are just a lot of copycat cities in America. Like there's a Manchester,
We have that too. We have a lot of English city
Yeah,
names.
Manchester, India. Yeah.
We've got
So,
Newcastle, and
mhm.
um, but I've noticed that in your nation, you look and there's a lot of Indian names and
Lots.
a lot of English names. But we're the similar. We've got Aboriginal names or
Mhm.
English city names. So
Yeah,
it's pretty similar, really.
it's
Tells a
funny.
story.
It does. I was actually just talking about this yesterday with the Indian names at work, just because, you know, all of the native tribes, they're just all around and their influence is still around, but we just it's just so ingrained into what it is. You just don't even think about it as, oh yeah, the first people who lived here, they were definitely here because now I have a city named Immokalee. There's a lake named Okeechobee. These are all, there's a Miccosukee territory here. These are all tribes that used to live here. I
What, you never
live
think of that?
Well, it's not something you think of growing up, and it's definitely not something that has enough attention brought to it. It's just kind of, you grow up and it's just, oh, that's just Lake Okeechobee. Oh, that's just the name of the town. Oh, that's just a casino. You just don't think about it. And then, you grow up and you actually look into the actual history and not what they're teaching you in schools, and you're just like, oh man, damn.
Oh,
Whew,
well,
that's a
maybe
lot.
that's something Australia does better because growing up at school, I'm an old guy. I'm like 52, but they still taught you what was the name of the tribe in our area, which is in our area is the Biripi tribe. And I know the tribe over the river to the south is the Warramai tribe. And they'd war from time to time. And you know a fair bit about it and some of the words. So I think that's good. It's present in your head.
It's just not like how you were taught about the specific tribes and whatnot. We
Yeah.
just get a general, oh yeah, there are a lot of Native Americans that were here before the English came over, and here are their names. Here's some people who are important, but yeah, let's just keep moving.
Is that because they're all gone? Like, do you day to day you don't see many Indian people?
I mean, for the most part, they're gone, and
Well, that's probably the reason
the
then.
yeah, I mean, history is written by the victor, so there are not a lot of Native Americans around, so we're not hearing a lot of Native American stories. There are a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
white
Well,
people around, so
we've still got
mhm.
a lot of native like culture here. I don't know
Okay,
why. Like why they didn't get wiped out. I don't know.
yeah,
But they're
they
here.
y'all are definitely doing a better job of preserving your native population than we are. So.
We weren't great. Well, let's blame the English. The English with that.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories from Australia just through listening to podcasts.
Like what? Give me some. Hit me.
So I've listened to the Dollop. I found out about the Great Emu War you guys had,
I didn't know
and
about that till I was on Twitter. I learned a lot about how people view Australia from Twitter, which is fascinating to me. But go on, the
oh
Emu
well,
Wars that we lost.
yeah, that was unfortunate. But I listened to the Dollop, and they go and they've toured Australia several times, and they'll have episodes where they'll just do a bit from Australian history. But unfortunately, I listen to too much stuff, so I just don't. Some stuff doesn't seek hold. Some stuff
Yeah,
doesn't take. Some stuff does stand out, like like I remember that the guy that was popularized in the American like Earth Day commercials, the single Native American with the tear going down his face.
right.
That was an Italian guy who basically played as an Indian in movies as his living.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Ah,
wasn't even a native.
well, there you go. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So
So, what was that? The
yeah, so
dollop. What's the dollop?
It's two comedians, two American comedians. Just one tells the other one a story about American history, and they they react and riff on it. And the person being told the story doesn't know what it's about. So
Ah, good.
so
Yeah, that
he's
works.
yeah, so he's basically getting told a story about history, and it's just like, wait, and he's just reacting to it. So it goes crazy, but it's I've learned a lot from it. I mean, unfortunately, I can't remember a lot, but that's that's my own fault.
Yeah, I remember. My memory's patchy, but I love history stuff. I listen to Dan Carlin. I've got the History
Hmm.
Homos podcast. Shout out William and Scott. I've got a lot of history interests because it's just fascinating.
You, you know what? I've heard of the History Homos a number of times. I have not listened to them.
No, it's really good. One's an English guy.
All
One's a
right.
guy from what's it called, Boston area,
Okay. New England.
I guess.
Okay.
I'm not very good
We'll
with your
go with that.
places, man. It's
No, it's
very
no problem.
confusing. I kind of just imagine it one big thing, but I get California and I get the New York and Florida. You're all far enough. I get it. So that's good.
Hmm.
I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that you guys is it 5 states over
I
in
don't even know.
Australia?
That's a good question. There's
So I think
Tasmania,
it's
Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia. That's six, and
oh,
two what we call capital territories, which aren't officially
okay.
states, but they're like a states, which is our ACT, which is your Washington DC,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and the Northern Territory, which is massive but sparsely populated, which will eventually become a state, I suppose. And that's where all
Okay.
the crocodiles and shit are, like up north and the wetlands.
Okay.
Because
All
Australia's
right. Well,
massive, man. Australia's
massive.
just as big as the USA, but with like 26 million people. And we're
Yeah,
mainly
exactly.
spread around the coastal areas, but even then, it's not that populated.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting how close to the equator you guys are. So it's just
Are
like
we?
ho- it's closer than I remember, because like you just look at a globe and you kind of just think of relative positions from there, but then it's not really all that accurate when when I was looking at the maps that we had on the boat and whatnot. So yeah.
Oh, so you're in the Navy, dude.
Yes, I was in the Navy for about 7 years.
What'd you do? They're like, what do you do on there?
I was a me- I was a mechanic on submarines. I
Like is
basically
that a
I
diesel mechanic? What do
no, I
submarines
was
run
a
off?
we were nuclear powered.
Ah,
So
they're big
yeah, I
boats.
basically yeah, not quite as big as the ones that you're thinking of, but yeah.
Dude, that's fascinating.
Uh,
What's
yeah. I
you don't have
and
any
I'm
sort of claustrophobia feelings whatsoever?
no, and I'm almost 2 meters tall.
That's
So
amazing.
that was
I'd
fun.
freak out. I don't like it. I don't like being trapped in a plane. I don't like it at all. I want to get out.
I mean, it definitely sucked. I hit my head a lot. You definitely have to get used to walking around and pick your spots and whatnot. But I made it out pretty well. I don't have a hump or anything like that, so I think I made it out all right.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's good you didn't get blown up by something.
Hmm.
What's the best Hollywood movie? Is it Hunt for the Red October, Crimson Tide, or do you go the German Das Boot? What do you like as a
That
summer
act that
movie?
mo that more accurately represents submarine
Did you
movies,
you just
or
enjoy
just like
it? Yeah.
I would say the most accurate representation of a submarine is down Periscope.
Nah, really?
I mean, yes, it's a lot of just it's y'all young dudes, inappropriate humor and conversations and whatnot. We're just trying to keep ourselves entertained. It's a shit job. We can't talk to the people we want to talk to, so we might as well keep it entertained. But also, when it's time to work, it's time to work, and we just got to do our shit and get it done.
What do you do for entertainment on the boat? Like, how do you compete with each other to let off steam?
Uh, there's movies. We had some video game consoles, so we play some of those. People play cards, but
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
yeah, a
How old are
lot
you,
of
mate?
movies. I'm 32.
Oh, you're a kid.
Yeah, I joined the Navy straight out of high school, basically, and
Uh, See,
yep.
I grew up when people didn't really play video games, so I've never really played video games.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that is that generation.
We played outside and just wandered about, and we'd play street cricket or street football, or ride your
Uh,
bike through the bush, go fishing, all that sort of shit. And you'd
well,
come in at
I'm
dark.
I'm I'm in the tween period of that because, as growing up, I played, I was also outside, playing the street football or American football. I did play some organized football, soccer as the Americans call it, but you didn't get really too deep into that. But yeah, I also played outside, came in at dark. Sometimes I got permission to stay out after dark and we would play hide and seek. But, since we couldn't, since we were almost teenagers and whatnot, we couldn't call it that. So we called it manhunt. Um,
Yeah, we call
yeah,
that
and it
we
was
call that murder in the dark. If you catch
nice.
them, they're murdered.
Yeah, it was something quite similar. If we caught you, that was basically it. And thinking back on it, it was a wild time too because we were like going through our neighborhood backyards and whatnot at
Yeah, we
night,
did that too.
and just nobody
And
was really thinking
and you'd
anything of
see
it.
you'd run across friends like say a group of guys that are a bit older at school. They'd be pegging like throwing like lemons, and you'd be getting hit in the back, and you're jumping fences to get away.
Hmm.
That seems a little rough
Yeah,
when you look
I
back.
mean, yeah. Um, well, fortunately, my neighborhood wasn't that rough, but yeah, that is a bit harsh. But no,
Well, it
but
wasn't a rough
it was.
neighborhood. It's just how Australia is. It's just was tougher back
Oh,
then.
well, I just mean we just didn't throw lemons at each other. That was really it.
That's just childhood shenanigans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't have lemons in abundance like that.
Ah,
Uh,
well, you're not
yeah, that
tropical. Oh,
that's
you're not
just really
tropical.
it.
But do
Yeah.
you think like the young kids now, like that are generation below you, do you think they're pussies?
Um, it's tough to say that. I would if they have like maybe like an older sibling or something, there might be some hope for them. But yeah, kinda.
Because they seem to
Just
me like too indoorsy now, kids.
yeah, exactly. That they don't go outside and do stuff. It's just like, I like being inside. I like doing nothing. But, I'll also be outside and do stuff outside. So it's just like I said, I was just in that in between period just because, I was still outside and whatnot. But then we would also go inside and I played Halo 2 co-op with a dude. We would just go over there every weekend and we put in, 4 or 5 hours just playing Halo, going through the
Yeah,
story.
you
And
fucking nerd.
then yeah, I know, but then, night would hit, the neighborhood kids would be out and then we're outside playing and whatnot. So
Ah,
it's just
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm a fossil, and I remember the
Mhm.
first kid, the fat kid at school who used to love talk about computer games, and we just bag him out and go, "Look at this fat fuck! What a fucking nerd!" And
Yeah.
I can't escape that thinking, man. I'm just like too programmed. Same as being inside
No.
in the day. I feel guilty. I feel I should be outside doing something. Like today, I got to see
Mhm.
kiddies off school, so I've got nothing to do. and it does my head
Mhm.
in.
Yeah, I also struggle when I have like a day off. Like, Friday, Saturday, okay, yeah, it is whatever. But if I have like, a Tuesday or a Thursday off because of whatever holiday, it's just like, what do I do? I
Well,
feel like I should be doing something, and it's just like
you
I'm
get
not.
better at it because I retired like a year ago,
Okay,
and
nice.
and I'm only 52, so I struggled really badly with it. I thought it'd be great, and I was bored,
Hmm.
and I was aimless, and then I just
Hmm.
learned to. I do a lot of shit for other people, like neighbors and friends, and like physical shit that I like to do just to
Yeah,
for the exercise
just to
of it.
keep moving.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just need it. I need to feel like I've done something. I need to feel useful.
exactly,
I don't know.
exactly.
I'm at the point where I think maybe I should just go to work. Like I get paid
Well,
for
I
shit
mean,
again.
yeah, you get paid for it, but then you also got to deal with dummies and have a boss.
Well, yeah, I think that'd be nice though because
Eh,
I
yeah,
I
some
owned my own
bosses
business
aren't
for
too bad.
27 years, so I was the boss,
Oh, nice.
and I
What
was
what
amazing.
business were you in?
I had a temp in bowling alley.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
It's not nice though because it's 7 days a week. I worked every public holiday. I worked nights.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Always on call, no sick days, very little vacation time, constantly thinking about it, and just not present enough for the family, I suppose.
I
So
mean, that is
it
one of the
seems like it'd
drawbacks
be
of owning your
fun,
own
but it's not
business.
as fun as what people think to work there all the time.
Yeah. I mean, like I kind of I see that kind of like it with my boss now. Well, because for a while I work in a candle warehouse. It's a small candle company. Um so when the warehouse manager quit, I kind of found my way in charge. So I was working closer with the owner, and it's just talking with him and seeing, what he wanted and whatnot. I mean, also he also has back issues too. So it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I see where the stress of the thing is, really gets to you as the owner.
Especially as you age, because I ran it so lean and mean to make more
Mm-hmm.
money for myself. But
Mm-hmm.
the trouble is, I didn't have many spare people, so I couldn't get sick or I couldn't. If you're injured, you go to work. I'd work with pneumonia. I work with like you get knocked unconscious at work and you got to work the next day. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So
So
I don't know. Like at some point, I started to think, well, what happens if I needed a knee operation? I just waited till I sold the business. You just wait. But you
yeah,
think
but
the older you get, the
because you
more
can't.
shit's going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's wild because like I said, it's a small candle company, so not only is he trying to maintain, he also kind of wants to grow the business as well. So he has to go to trade shows and whatnot, and
Uh,
you're already got a bad back. You got to go to a trade show and whatnot. And it's just like you
yeah,
know
I'd hate that shit.
that and the
Fuck, I don't miss it.
travel and all that, but
Yeah, traveling sucks dick.
yeah, yeah, it definitely sucks for me because, like I said, almost 2 meters tall. So my knees are in the seat in front of me. So, you know, fortunately, I've been lucky, and the person in front of me hasn't, reclined their seat or anything. But like, it's tough.
I just hate packing. You got to pack all your shit, take it somewhere else. Then you got to worry that you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to lose your shit. Then you got to repack it and go somewhere else. It's too much,
Mm-hmm.
mate.
Well, now I just travel with a carry on bag, um, because like I don't I mean, I'm not really going anywhere to do anything. So, like, all I need is a few changes of clothes and I'll be all right.
Yeah, well,
You
you
know,
you speak like a man who doesn't own a wife.
you're correct. I don't own a wife.
You never had a wife?
So I've never had a wife. I've had a few girlfriends. One that got real serious, but never had a wife.
Yeah, because that changes everything. It's like, are you going to get married and shit? Or are you going to stay single?
I mean, I'm not saying no. I just gotta, find someone who I vibe with.
Yeah, I don't know how
So,
you do it. I don't know how people
yeah.
find it.
So,
Who
yeah. I
knows?
mean, I found someone who I vibe with, but it's just, there's just some circumstances that are just around things. But I mean, it's not like I have high standards or anything. I feel like my standards are quite low to moderate. So, it's just
Yeah, like no murderers.
look. I mean, I don't even think I'm saying no murderers.
Fuck.
You know, as long as you hadn't, you're not out here murdering your husband or your boyfriends. I'm like, all right. I
Well,
mean,
that seems okay. I mean, crime of passion. We all lose our
yeah,
temper.
yeah, exactly. But if I find out that you're a serial killer and some of these overnight trips you said you've been going was just to go ahead and scratch the itch, I'd be like, all right, yeah, it's probably better you didn't tell me because, that is wild. But I mean, if you're cool, you're cool.
You got to have a loyal woman though. You can't have a woman who cheat.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that. You see it online. They go, "Oh, she cheated, but I wasn't giving enough attention or whatever." You're like, no, it's over. It's
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Cheating is a real rough one. Like it's just like, all right, I mean, we could have just split and you could have did whatever you wanted to, but you just went and betrayed my trust for what? You know,
Yeah,
like
it's
that's a
a
bit
it's
of
a
a
deal
rough one.
breaker. What about a woman with short hair? Could you go with a woman with short hair?
Uh, I mean, it depends how short.
Like a
Like, I
dude.
mean, I can't do the dude haircuts.
What
I
about a
mean,
muscly chick?
not mostly. I mean, again, I don't know. Like,
See, to me,
I'm not a
I need a
guy who.
feminine woman. It's got to be a feminine woman, and all these things are big red
Oh,
flags for me.
no, I mean, they are big red flags, but I'm unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not a guy who says no to many things. So, I'm just like, I mean, I'm not gonna knock it until I try it. So,
Bro, I
if
say
I
no
end
to
up,
everything.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I've had done some things where it's just like I really wish I hadn't done that, but it's just like,
Yeah,
all right,
I'll
well,
say no, and
you
then I
live and you
regret
learn.
saying no later when I think about it. But I don't like to rush into it.
Uh,
I'm like, no, fuck that, no.
no, I'll say yes, and then while I'm doing it, I'll be like, man, I wish I said no.
Oh, that's me drunk. Can the woman you want
So,
to meet smoke?
what are we smoking?
Whatever.
Like cigarettes?
Cigarettes?
That's gonna be a tough one for me
What about a vape?
because just again, all right, vape. I might have to just take on a per case basis and see how it does, how it works for me. I mean, if she smokes marijuana, cool. That's one more thing we'll have in common, and we'll just go from there.
Dude,
But
does
yeah,
every black
cigarette
guy in America
tough.
smoke marijuana?
Not every black guy in America. I've definitely met some that don't, but also when you've got two bad knees and a bad back, courtesy of Uncle Sam, and you don't like painkillers, cannabis helps. Me personally.
Yeah, I got a lot of neck issues from a car accident, and I just tend to be grumpy. Because Americans fucking love drugs, man. Like prescription
Yeah.
drugs, gummies, pot, cocaine. It's
Well,
blown me away.
I mean, I would say, uh, marijuana, mushrooms, and LSD are my vices of choice. Also, alcohol, I guess too. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a drug nation out here. They definitely people who push. You got people who push drugs. Both legal and illegal drugs. Just through
Absolutely.
commercials and music and all that. But I don't know. I've never really been interested in trying more than I've tried. You know, I tried
Yeah.
weed, I liked it, cool. Tried cocaine once, didn't do it for me. I'm not doing meth, I'm not doing heroin.
I
And
think
then
meth
I
was great.
tried,
Meth was great.
I mean, maybe when you were doing it, but when I came around, I'd see these stories, meth people, they're losing their teeth, kind of looking like zombies and whatnot. I'm just
Oh,
like,
if you
yo,
get
I don't want
addicted,
any part
yeah. I
of that.
mean, addiction's a
Yeah.
problem, but if you're just a
Yeah.
recreational dabbler, I think it's okay.
Oh, I mean, again, it's not something I've tried. It's something I stay away from. So it's just, and also I've known a meth addict. I actually lost the love of my life to meth.
Oh,
So,
really? Oh,
well,
well then,
to my life of my life at that point. So,
yeah.
um, so yeah, meth is kind of it's definitely a hard no for me on that one. Just the same with heroin, and that's just mainly because I don't want to be injecting things, even though I know you can snort and smoke heroin.
Yeah, that's a bridge
Um,
too far.
yeah. So, and then I don't know, I got a hankering one time to try mushrooms. And then, people was just like, oh, well, if you try mushrooms, have you tried, acid? And I was like, all right, I tried it too. And I was like, yo, both are great for me. And I was like, all right, cool. We'll do this.
A
So,
really close group of friends of mine were taking what they call trips. Is that LSD when you take a trip?
yeah, I think
Anyway,
so.
I said, "Oh, how was it?" Because I was away that weekend, and they said,
Hmm.
"Oh, we were so scared. I was hiding under the bed. I saw these spiders coming at me, and I'm like, they're like, do you want to try it?" I'm like, no, that
Fuck
sounds
no.
terrible. That sounds awful.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I've definitely tried things, and it fortunately I haven't had a bad trip. There was
Oh,
one time there was one time where someone pissed me off while I was on LSD, and I feel like LSD is just kind of really an emotion enhancer. Well, or at least for me it is, because like I mean, I've been angry before, but I haven't been that, like, I guess I've just never felt that angry before. Like, it was just different.
anger's the only emotion I really feel.
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
not.
but this I'm quite familiar with anger, but this was just like, this was on a different level. And I was just like, huh, okay. Yeah, that was like, yeah, it was just wild.
Oh, I think I'm going to skip that. It's not for me. So I was thinking, like, I think you're probably the first African American guy I've ever had a conversation with.
uh I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if I was the first for a lot of people. But
Well,
no,
we
that's
don't have
cool.
what like I have. I know African people who live in Australia, and they're my neighbours and
Hmm.
friends and that. But African
Yeah.
American, like never,
Yeah, you
like
probably have, there's probably a couple Americans out there, but not, yeah.
not really. No, I
But
don't really know any
oh,
Americans.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
well.
from online, but no.
Well, I do have to disappoint you because I don't consider myself African American.
What do you consider yourself?
Um, Jamaican American, because I can trace my family history for at least three generations to Jamaica.
But wouldn't they have come from
So
Africa to Jamaica?
they would have, but I feel like if you went and you've had three sets of offspring there, that's you. You know,
Yeah, of course.
I do get that. Ultimately, yes, I did come from Africa, but more of my immediate family lineage can be traced to Jamaica more than it can be to Africa. So I'm just going to go with the closest thing to me rather than the original.
Does that mean you have some appreciation of cricket?
I have watched a couple cricket matches. I
Because we're
don't know
currently playing the
jack
West
shit about it,
Indies, which is like all
but
that area, the Caribbean, in cricket right now in Australia.
really,
Yeah, they're in Perth.
really,
5 day game.
okay. Yeah, that's what I found out about cricket. They play games all over like a week, and I'm just like, wow.
It's like a big ass
Um,
game of chess. Most Americans can't understand it and they just knock it, which is fine, you know. But it's a pretty fucking amazing sport.
oh, I'll tell you straight up. I've watched the game. I found it fascinating. I had no idea what was going on.
I think you kind of got to learn by playing it. You know, it's like,
Okay.
I struggle with your American football too. You know, I'm like, why are they doing that? And
Mm.
I can't ask my wife to explain it. She doesn't know
Yeah.
anything. So who do I, you know, and I'm just so dumb
Yeah.
about it that it's just too basic to work out. Plus, I don't like the
Yeah.
dancing when
I
they
mean, and
score
then
touchdowns. I'm like, stop fucking dancing.
oh,
I don't like it.
uh yeah, I'm kind of hit or miss with it. Sometimes I'm just like, all right, yeah, I get it. You really did something, and you celebrating what you did, but then it's something that's just like, all right, bro, what are we doing, man? Let's come on, let's keep this
But
moving. We got
in
places to
Australian
be.
football, when you score a try, we call it a touchdown a try. Everyone just
Hmm.
the team is so happy. They all bond together and sort of congratulate each other and hug each other or whatever. And that's it.
Yeah,
And that makes sense to
yeah.
me. But like to do a solo little dance, you're making it about yourself, not the team. It annoys me.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see if it's one thing where it's just like the play falls apart, maybe there's a fumble or something, and you actually do something and it's mostly individual. You're just like, yeah, I did that. But,
Yeah.
if we're playing your standard, pass catch or, we're running the football, it's just like, all right, you know, you had five dudes in front of you making sure you could do what you just did. All you had to do was, you know, find the hole and just run as fast as you can and hope you didn't get tackled.
Well, there's skill in that.
I mean, there is skill in that. You still might have to, do a juke move and whatnot, to avoid somebody. But basically, you running as fast as you can. And I mean, this is just me boiling it down to the basics. I'm not saying it's not spectacular. I'm not saying it's not awesome because it is both those things. But I mean, there are people there who made a hole for you, and it's your job to get through that hole as fast as you can. And you did that. But
Right.
without them, you ain't doing shit.
But that's I agree. And I think that's why I like Australian football because they celebrate as a team because that you
Mhm.
need the team. It's a team fucking sport. It's not an individual sport.
Yeah. I mean, and even when I'm just watching, just I, football, the international football, not American football, but
Soccer.
like, soccer. Someone scores and, there are at least six dudes coming around and hugging them because it's just like without those dudes, that guy wouldn't have been in that position to score because,
Yeah, that's right.
somebody pulled the defender, someone might have had to, someone had to give them the cross, someone had to pass them the ball so they could score. Someone had to do something, to get somebody out of position for them to score. It's not just, all right, I just took the ball from point A and went and scored. There are some guys who can do that, and it's amazing when they do it. But for the most part, it's just a team thing.
Man, a lot of Americans hate soccer. They fucking hate it.
Uh, well, I mean, I played it, so I have genuine interest in it. I was, so I like it.
Yeah, I'm sort of
Even
in between.
before.
I'm not passionate about soccer at all. I can watch a high quality game and enjoy it, but generally I'd choose not to. I prefer more contact.
Oh,
But like the World Cup's on
see,
now, and I don't
it's
watch any. I
funny.
couldn't give a shit who wins the World Cup.
Yeah.
Whatever,
See, the
man.
World Cup's on now, and then as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to put on a replay of one of the games today. Fortunately, I can put it at 2 times speed, so it goes a little bit quicker. But even during the regular season, I wake up. Unfortunately, because of the military, I just wake up early, and by the time I wake up, there's some English Premier League soccer on. So it's just like, boom, I'm
Yeah,
in
I
there.
like watching that better.
And
It's just I don't know why. It's a better form of it to me.
yeah, it's
Probably
a bit
because of the
fun.
crowds.
Yeah, the crowds, and then I picked a team, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna root for you guys, and it's just it definitely sucks because you wake up because well me I wake up and I'm just like, all right, come on guys, let's go, and then we lose and it's just like, now my day's shit, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's like me. If my rugby league team loses, it fucking hurts, man.
Mhm.
I get too
Yeah,
passionate.
yeah.
I think I got to give it up. Like it's too much.
I mean, I'm not there where it's just where I get real bummed. I'm just like, man, that really sucks. It was, because even with the American football, there's a local team here, the Miami Dolphins, and I mean, they're legitimate people who their mood is tied to the 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 football team, and it's just, you know, now I feel like it kind of feels like Dolphins fans are in much better spirits because the team as a whole is doing better. But
So you're a Miami
there are a
Dolphin
time where
guy. I forgot about them. I thought you'd be the Tampa
yeah,
Bay Buccaneers. I completely forgot about the Dolphins.
no,
There
yeah,
you
it's
go.
it's been the Dolphins. I've been a Dolphins fan since it was called Joe Robbie Stadium,
Right.
and only people who really know football will remember when that was.
That's definitely not me.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I basically grew up 10 miles away from the stadium. And then I found out that they practice their practice squad was also maybe about 10 miles away from me. So like I lived in between where they practiced and where they played. So it was
So
just like
you
I
got to
couldn't
go to
avoid
a
it.
lot of games.
No, I didn't. I got to watch a lot of games, but I went to maybe 2 or 3 games just because the tickets are still relatively expensive, especially because like I a single mother. So, it was that. And then it was also just readily available on the local television just because they were the hometown team. So their game was always on.
Yeah,
So I
right.
didn't have to go far to see it.
Yeah, we didn't get it. We
I
we
did
live.
go to a couple basketball games.
Oh, dude, I can't with the basketball. I just can't. The fucking squeaky
uh,
shoes. Squeak, squeak, squeak. I hate the squeaky shoes.
oh, the squeak is definitely more present when you go to it live.
Yeah.
It was, and it's
I,
also
I just never
funny.
grew up with basketball and I've tried watching it and I'm
Yep.
like, I just don't enjoy it. I don't know
Mhm.
why.
Uh, Yeah, I can get that. The first time we went to a basketball game, yeah, my mom brought me because she got the tickets through someone she knew at the job, her job, and then she was just like, "Mark, where are the announcers?" Because when we watch on TV, there's the color commentary. People describe
Yeah,
where they're going. I was just like, "Yeah, they don't have that. We just watch the game and we're seeing what's happening."
that's funny. Well, I took my wife to
Yeah.
a first big football game in Australia this year and she'd never been to one. And she said,
How'd
I
she
don't
like
know
it?
what's going on and who's who. And I was annoyed because I kept having to explain it during the game. I'm like, yeah, it's that guy, and I'm like, fuck, what a mistake that
Yeah,
was.
he's like, that's our best guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's it's kind of one of those things where it's like before I'll bring my woman to a game or whatnot, I'm gonna at least make sure we watch a couple at home and see what's up because like I'm trying to enjoy the game myself. I want to see what's going on. I don't want to have to explain things.
My wife gets into the game. She enjoys football and she gets right into it, but
Mhm.
obviously not to that level.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
well, as long as we can tell what's going on and I don't have to explain like the basics, then we're good to go.
and you're a big Formula One guy on Twitter. You like the Formula One?
Yeah, I do.
I assume everyone who watches
I'm a
Formula One
I'm a
has
big Formula
autism
One fan.
because it's so technical now. Like I haven't watched since
I
Schumacher
mean,
left the sport.
yeah, I haven't been tested, but who knows?
Is it true they don't have
If
pit stops anymore for safety?
No, no, they definitely still have pit stops.
Oh,
There's a mandatory tire rule where they have to use two different compounds of tires
do they
unless it's
still
a wet race.
refuel?
No, they took out refueling, uh,
See, that's
which
it.
I mean, it's
Safety ruins
it's
everything.
unfortunate, but at the same time, yeah, safety. Well, I mean, when you have multiple cars ripping off the fuel lines and catching fire, people go, "All right, maybe we shouldn't let y'all do this."
Why not? They choose it.
Because I know the no, I think the sport and the teams they just basically said, okay, we're just voting against this, which it's crazy to me because other sports like I have a friend who's getting me into NASCAR and I watch NASCAR and they refuel.
Yeah,
So I don't know, and then you have endurance racing and well, they have to refuel, but they also refuel. So it's just like, all right, it can be done. And,
that's a choice.
I don't understand. Yeah, you call yourselves the pinnacle of motorsport,
But that
but
was the
let's
interesting
be the
part of
pinnacle
it
of motorsport.
is to do that quickly and to calculate the fuel and the weight and how it affects your lap
Yeah,
times.
exactly.
It just made it more interesting.
That,
So they just take away a facet.
yeah.
Now, fuck the
Yeah,
Formula
it,
One
it
now.
definitely has. It definitely has gotten more boring because it's just like I said, you have to use two different sets of compounds. And before, I think this is a 2-year-old rule now. Before, you used to have to use the tires that you used. If you made the top 10, you had to use the tires that you set your fastest lap in the second round of qualifying it.
Okay.
So, you brought tire strategy into it because you would want to use the softs because they're the fastest tire, but they're also the least durable.
Yeah,
So
that's
really
interesting.
what you really want to do is qualify on the mediums so you can start on the mediums and you have an option to go to the hards for some longevity or go to the softs and get some quickness back.
And I suppose
So but
that would encourage a bit more overtaking as well, where you're not starting where you're probably going to finish. There's
exactly,
some,
and that
yeah,
definitely brings in its strategy more. Some teams are forced to do a two stop versus a one stop, and you bring that onto that. But now, pretty much everybody starts on the same tire, and now you really see the differences in the cars between the cars and the drivers, which some could argue is a good thing. But then I'm just like, you know, all right, well, you're just going to use the sauce in qualifying. You're never going to use the sauce again because they're not that great of a race tire. You're just going to go ahead for longevity. So realistically, this race isn't all that interesting. But
yeah. I
then,
tapped out.
there's been changes to the regulations, so now they can follow each other a little bit more closely without overheating or losing downforce and grip. So it's produced a lot closer races. So it's kind of one of those things where it's still, mostly people in the same tires just stopping once and hoping there's not like a safety car to fuck their strategy up. But then at the same time, they're following closer, so it feels like it's spicier.
Yeah, I'll try it. It better be good.
Mm-hmm. Um, I mean, it's definitely hit or miss. Unfortunately, the season's over now, so we have to wait until till March
I got
to
nothing
go
but
ahead.
time, Mark. Nothing but time.
Yeah. And it's also a shame that they took Australia off the opening round of the
Did they?
season.
Because it used to be in Melbourne.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it used to be in Melbourne, but then COVID hit and y'all guys locked it down.
Well,
And yeah.
that's not our guys, as I have to correct Americans. Victoria is different. It's a different state. In New South Wales, we weren't as strict.
Yeah.
It's like your
Oh,
Florida.
okay.
Florida wasn't very strict, were they? They didn't really lock down hard or
Oh,
anything.
not at all. Not really.
So, it's a state by
Yeah.
state thing. People say some wild shit about
Hmm.
Australia, dude, and you're like, all right, you know, then you don't live here.
I mean, yeah.
Tell me,
But
Mark,
I just know definitely what's up.
what's the best fast food?
Tell you about Australia?
No, what's the best fast food in your area? What's the best takeout?
um See, now here's the thing. You've said fast food and takeout, and that means two different things to me.
Oh, it's the same to
Because
me.
if I go, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, like if I'm going fast food, I would have to go, I'm thinking McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Taco Bell, those type of things. So I would definitely have to go Wendy's just because I don't they've just really been more quality with me. Takeout to me means that it's a restaurant. They also, but you can also sit down and eat in it. Not like yeah, you can sit down and eat them at McDonald's, but like you'll have a waiter at this type of place.
Well, takeout means you're
Um,
taking it out of the restaurant.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm still taking it out of the restaurant, but regardless,
Oh,
because
yeah.
sometimes
Oh,
I just
yeah.
don't
So
want to
like
sit
Thai
near the
food
place.
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you.
So for that, I mean, I don't really have one because fortunately I'm in a good area and there are plenty of places to get a good meal around here. So, um, oh, you know what? I think I'm actually gonna go to a sports bar that's near my barber shop and get some jerk chicken pasta. I love their jerk chicken pasta.
Dude, what the fuck is jerk chicken?
Okay, well,
Sounds like a chicken that's an
uh,
asshole.
no, I mean jerk. It's a way of seasoning a meat, and that's I don't know if it was popularized by the Caribbean islands. At being a Jamaican, that's where I was introduced from just our cooking and whatnot. But it's just spices and well, it depends because there's a wet jerk and a dry jerk.
What the fuck,
Um,
dude? Why has it got to be all sexual?
yeah. It's not. I mean, in this
Well, you
instance, it's
don't say
not. But
jerking off in America is a masturbation,
no, we do.
and you're
But
jerking off chickens wet
I
and
mean,
dry. This is crazy.
well, sometimes you just use spices. Sometimes it's a marinade. So that's just what
Oh, and
difference
you need to change
the
that
difference
terminology.
between
That's
wet and jerk.
creepy.
I mean, it yeah, but then it's also just multiple multiple languages and dialects clashing with one another because well, you know what, they probably call it jerking off in Jamaica too. But
Yeah.
then again, I mean, I wasn't raised there. I was raised in America, but then Jamaica's still a little bit of an English influence, and
Thank
whatnot. So
goodness.
maybe they call it something different.
Thank
I
goodness
don't
you
know.
have
I've never.
cricket.
I'm yeah, cricket and football. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
Is it true
maybe
that
maybe
like
they call it something else.
I don't know? Is it true that all black guys like chicks with big fat asses?
I mean, I do. I can't say all of them do, but
Can't you do a
I
study?
can only talk for me. I mean,
Go door to door and shit?
I've no. I probably could, but I know me and the guys that I've hung up with and grown up with, we've all liked a nice quality ass.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
crazy. I like a skinny
it
chick, a heroin junkie looking chick.
oh, I mean, the ass for me, the ass doesn't have to be huge or nothing like that. But
The
I'm just
bubble
looking for
shape.
something solid. Yeah,
Ah,
good shape.
no. Dude, I'm going to have post traumatic
A
stress.
good shape, something that I can get a little bit of a grip on. That's great for me.
Yeah, that's crazy. If we saw a chick growing up, if we saw a chick with a big ass, me and my friends would joke and be like, oh, you could stand your drink on it as she walks around, and it was very negative.
I mean, we would have that same. My friends and I would have that same thing, but that would be a positive, not a negative.
Yeah, that's crazy. Maybe it's just cultural. Sexuality, maybe it is cultural.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, and I mean, just growing up, just the women are thicker women, just because they've mostly had to walk and whatnot, so they've used their legs, so the muscles and whatnot develop and whatnot. So it's just you just have a more developed leg, and then that's just what you get used to, and you're just like, yeah, I like seeing that. And
Maybe.
I'm not saying that there aren't any skinny women that don't catch my fancy, but
Well, when I
if
grew up,
if you got a nice
most
butt,
women were
I'm there.
skinny. Nearly every woman was
Yeah.
skinny, and a fat woman stood out as a freak and was negative. So it's so
Mhm.
rare. And now that's more mainstream. So it's probably just a generational thing. You
It
crazy kids.
definitely might be. Yeah, because one of the shows that I listen to more often, they're children of the 80s, and they remember, like the 80s banana tits and like no butts. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, "What? No
That's
butt?"
the glory years.
So, I mean, I'd be a fish out of water in there.
I got a 22-year-old son and he shits on me all the time. He's like, Dad, you're a fucking idiot. He's like you.
Yeah, I mean, but that that's just different things that we value. It's just you like you said, you like a skinny chick, and I prefer a bit of a thicker chick. It is what it is. I'm not gonna be like, ew, she's skinny. Nah, she's
No,
great.
but it's
I've
it's
been with
funny to
skinny
be a,
women as well.
it's funny to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I mean, I
What do you think of
I genuinely don't care about a lot.
yeah, fair. What do you think of the white guys who try and act all black? Like we call them wiggers. Like
Yeah,
do you look down on those guys?
uh, depends.
On what?
Like, I mean, if if you're a guy who grew up in it, then I can
Then
definitely
it
give
seems
you
more
more of a
natural.
pass. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you're not really, you're just acting of your environment. You're not really acting black. But if you're going out here, you're trying to do this, it's just like, all right, man, get out of my face.
Yes, that being inauthentic is bad to me. You should just
Yeah,
be who you are.
if yeah, and you know that's caught me out a couple times just because people try to challenge my blackness all the time, and just like, yo, man, just because I have varied interests doesn't mean I stray away from my core, you
What does
know?
that mean? Challenge your blackness? Like, I don't
Uh,
understand.
I mean, someone tried to say that I was one of the whitest black guys they on Twitter, and I was just like, hold on now.
that's
you know,
that's funny.
I, okay, yes, I listen to metal. Yes, I watch atypical sports. But let's not get it twisted. You 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 can still hear how I talk. It is typical of a black person. Yes, I do stop and I make sure I enunciate just because my mom had a job at a university, a Catholic university. So, I couldn't go around being quote unquote ghetto around Catholic priests and nuns and whatnot. Then they'll be looking at my mom like, oh my goodness, she's not a good parent. When I can't have that. So, yes, I tend to speak more proper than some of my counterparts, but don't get it twisted, man. I will still slap the shit out of somebody. Like I will still cuss you out where you stand. Like I've got no problem with that. Don't
Yeah.
don't try me. And
Well, Twitter's a very troll based thing. People shit on each other all the
yeah.
time. People attack me all
Mm-hmm.
the time over my country, and I never care. It's funny. Like, why do you
The
think that it's going to
funniest,
hurt me?
the thing that makes me giggle the most about Australia is the Australia isn't real theory.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
Yeah, yeah, because I've definitely become into contact with a lot of Australians uh online through video games. I've definitely seen, you know, products of Australia, whether it be through movies or music and whatnot. So it's just like there's something there. I've definitely learned about it. I definitely learned that there was a prison colony. I definitely learned that, there are people who out there who went to explore the outback. They got severely crossed up, lost, you
Yeah,
know, they did terrible things to the Aboriginal people trying
true.
to survive,
Yeah, but
so,
I tend to agree. I just go,
you know,
yeah, we're not real, or, or whatever, man. It doesn't matter
yeah.
what some asshole across the world thinks. Why would I care about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they think they got you. They go, oh, well,
Exactly.
you lost the Emu War. And you're like, oh, no, I lay awake at night. I didn't even fucking know about it, you dumb cunt.
Yeah. Yeah, emus are going around and they're running things now. It's just like,
They're dumb as fuck, too,
it's just,
emus. You ever met an emu? They're dumb.
no, I haven't. I haven't even gotten close to like an ostrich or anything like that. I haven't fucked with any type of large bird.
Yeah, well, I don't know what ostriches are like. I wonder if they're the same. It's pretty weird. They develop so
Uh,
separately and so similar.
yeah, that is, but it would be, well, you know what? I feel like if they were the same thing, it would have been discovered by now, but it would be funny if they were just the same thing, but just called a different name.
Yeah. So Twitter, you like Twitter, you hate Twitter. Love, hate?
Uh, I hate being serious on Twitter.
Yeah, well, it's a time waste, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just to be silly.
Yeah, every time I've been serious on Twitter, I've been miserable, and then I go, "Oh yeah, this is why we don't do this."
Yeah,
This is why I follow comedians. This is why, I talk to people who I can talk shit with. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. It's just talking shit.
I'm
And when people spaz out, I genuinely are shocked that they take it to heart because it's just
yeah.
I don't understand it. And people get so upset sometimes. You're like, holy shit, what's going on in their
Hmm.
life?
Oh man, the thing that's the funniest to me, like to this day. So Betty White died. Okay,
Yeah,
yes, that's a tragedy and whatnot.
that's not a
But when
tragedy.
people, I mean, I don't think it's
It's
a
an old
tragedy
lady.
either
They
because
die.
exactly, to me, if you're over the age of 60, you know, you probably had a solid life. You made it.
Exactly.
You know, there's really nothing more for you to do but die. So,
Exactly.
like, I mean, what am I going to be sad for? You made it.
Yeah, she's not my
Congratulations.
mom.
Exactly. When my mom dies, I'd be like, oh man, that was my mom. But at the same time, she made it. Good
Yeah,
for her.
but
You
that's a personal grief,
know.
like
Yeah,
Anyway, so what happened
exactly.
with the Betty White
Yeah, okay.
situation?
Well, someone asked how Betty White died, and one of the comedians I followed, it said, you know, uh choke jerking, or basically, autoerotic asphyxiation, and you know, exactly. That should be the reaction to it. Just a giggle. Because we
Exactly.
all know Betty
He's
White,
been silly.
90 year, yeah, 100-year-old Betty White ain't sitting there, tying a rope around her neck and playing with her stuff. We all know that's not bad. But yet he's sitting there getting attacked on, being called all sorts of violent misogynists. And I'm just like, y'all are some miserable bitches.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's funny. It's still the reaction's funny. It's all funny.
yeah.
That's like
Mm-hmm.
Ari Shafir
Yeah.
does that all the time, doesn't he? He mocks funerals
Yeah.
and deaths, which
Yeah.
is
If a celebrity
ballsy.
death, he'll shit on them. Yeah, it's balls. I mean, it definitely was unfortunate that it backfired against him with the Kobe thing, just because, when I found out Kobe died, I was like, damn, that sucks. Kobe died. It was hours later that I found out his daughter was with him.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was just Kobe, he probably would have escaped it. But then it was just like, he had his kid with him too. Just,
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I've still seen Ari live in person since then. It's funny.
I think Ari's pretty funny. I like Ari. I like Kurt Metzger. I think he's a funny dude.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tim Dillon. I'm like you. I like Matt and Shane. They're pretty good. You're a Matt and Shane guy, you said?
Oh, yeah, I'm a Matt and Shane guy. I mean, I love using the slang that they have. It's just, I just like calling like a Japanese guy. Or I just call him a Tokyo partner. Like, I mean, come on now. It's harmless. It's not cute. It's just fun.
Oh yeah.
The lads, the urban youth. Come on.
No, they're funny dudes.
Giggle. Yeah.
But I get annoyed because I'm old with the computer games and the crying. Shane's always fucking crying, and I get annoyed. Or Matt's talking about his new age shit, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. But overall, it's very funny. What got you into comedy podcasts? Like, what was your pathway? Did you come through Rogan and then spread out, or did you go your own way?
Yeah, I actually I came through Rogan, and I stumbled onto Rogan very basically back when he was on YouTube and he was going live on YouTube. I was actually in HVAC school, and they gave us all tablets and whatnot. Well, I was bored. I was on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh, what's Joe Rogan doing?" Because I remembered him from Fear Factor and whatnot. So I checked that out, and that was when Tom and Bert were doing the weight loss challenge. So I kind of followed that. I listened to both Tom and Bert's podcast from that, and then Bert had the Legion of Skanks guys on. And I was just like, oh shit, that's Big J Okerson. I remember him from being on Comic View way back in the day, because I grew up watching Comic View and whatnot. So, I've always known comedy was a thing. My mom brought me with her to the comedy club. Fortunately, I can grow facial hair. So I've always looked older than I am.
And you're tall.
Yeah, and I'm tall. So people just...
Because you have to be 21 over there, is that right?
You have to be at least 16. You have to be I think I think it's at least 16, and you definitely have to be 21 to drink. And some comedians or venues can be, okay, now we're just 21 and over only.
Right. Because in Australia and England, it's 18 to drink.
Yeah. Well, I also found out that it was it was 18 to drink here as well for the longest time. That changed in Reagan. That changed with Reagan.
You're old enough to fight in a war, you're old enough to drink.
That's what I say. But
you can't have that double standard. You're a man or not. Are you a fucking man or not?
Exactly. You tell me I can take a bullet for this country, but I can't have a beer after that?
Fuck off with that shit.
Yeah.
Don't get
But
me angry, Mark.
there's a theory going out. No, no, no. There's just a theory going out that either Reagan or Nixon um added that, if you didn't raise your drinking limit to 21, they weren't going to give funding for like roads and shit. So naturally, every state was just like, okay, well, fuck this. We're not paying out of pocket for all this. So yeah, we'll do this. And then they were also saying that that was to increase student debt, just because you're drinking at 18, so you're basically just drinking at home. Once you go, you don't actually have to go to college out of state to be away from your parents and drink. So you wouldn't need to take a loan or anything like that. So basically it was just a way to get more people into debt.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I also like conspiracy theories. Unfortunately, these
Well,
past
you,
couple
you
years, a
should
lot of
definitely listen to the History
theories.
Homos, because that's history
Okay,
with conspiracy.
I like it. I definitely like it.
No, it's good.
I like a conspiracy. If you can put two and two together if you have compelling enough evidence, it seems solid enough from a solid enough source and whatnot, you can probably get me on anything
Yeah, I don't know.
except flat Earth.
No, I'm not a flat Earth guy. I don't believe in chemtrails. But I
don't believe in
just like being left alone by the government. Just leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing.
But so you're a big gas digital guy. You ever been to Skankfest?
Yes, I've actually been to the last two Skankfests.
Were there hot skanks there?
There were a couple hot ones, yes.
But there'd be mainly a sausage fest.
It was okay. So when I went to Houston, it was definitely more of a sausage fest. Vegas, it was a little bit more populated with the ladies, but I mean, still, I feel that podcasting is still male dominated and male in both terms of both hosts and listeners.
I agree with that. But men are funnier.
The fans tend to skew male.
Don't you think men are funnier?
Unfortunately, it's been proven that way. There are definitely some funny women out there, but
yeah,
more men have made me laugh than women.
Men have to be funny, but women have to be pretty.
Yeah, that's
pretty much
is what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I don't like about the gas is Louis J. Gomez saying doggy all the time. I fucking hate that doggy shit. Enough with the doggy.
Bro, it's wild because there's a UPS driver who delivers to my job and he calls me doggy from time to time. Well, he calls me doggy pretty much every time he sees me. And I'm just like, is this a thing with like maybe New York guys or maybe Puerto Ricans, or like, does he also subscribe to gas? And like, I kind of don't want to ask him that because I don't like him in general, because he kind of fucks up our deliveries, and it's definitely frustrated me a couple times because I've had to look for things that I didn't have because he said we've had them and we haven't.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to find out that he's also like
I'd snap at him in a heartbeat just to be a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying I'm a fucking dog, man? And just to see him backpedal would be funny. No, that's just me.
I mean, he's nice enough. So
you're too kind, Mark. You're too kind.
Oh, dude, one of the delivery drivers called me Big Daddy today.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but just like, I mean, I'm used to getting big as a nickname just because I'm a big guy,
that
but just
sense.
Like, yeah, but he called me Big Daddy today. And then the chick who works in the warehouse with us, he was just like, all right, Big Daddy. And I was just like, you shut the fuck up. You shut up right now. It's just like,
Well, that's
I
another
don't
thing I've
need
learned from
that
Twitter.
going back in the warehouse.
Yeah, on Twitter, I've learned that like sexually, a guy will say, "I'm going to be your daddy" and all this shit, whereas that's unheard of here. Unheard of. It's crazy. Or
Yeah,
or, or pappy.
that.
Like, what the fuck is that
I
shit? That's
mean,
some family incest shit.
it's definitely wild. It's a little wild to me. Like I don't get it myself. Also, I'm not a father, so that's why I'm a little bit more accepting of it because like no one else calls me daddy, so I don't have to worry about
Yeah,
that. But
it doesn't mean anything. It's
you
just I
know,
get annoyed easy. I mean, I've got
yeah,
5 kids, and don't call me
yeah,
fucking daddy.
yeah. So yeah, maybe if I had someone to call me dad, I'd be like, that's a little weird. We might need to, find a different word. But I mean, like I said, there's not really much that bothers me, and if it does bother me, I'm pretty quick to be like, yo, I don't really want to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, I just have silly shit that bothers me. Just stupid shit.
Oh, so do I. So do I.
But before we go, I didn't even do the introduction. Fuck it. I wait till the end every time. Just pretend. Just pretend. Just be cool. Welcome
All
back to
right.
the Brown Snake interview series. This week's guest is Mark. Welcome, Mark.
How you doing, Brown Snakes? Pleasure to finally meet you.
Finally hear your voice. Yeah, I fuck this up all the
Yeah,
time. I get too
exactly.
carried away. God damn it! I
Oh
quit.
man.
Fuck.
I mean, well, the podcasts I like listening to the most. They're just basically a conversation.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too.
yeah, yeah. It's just funny, just because it's mostly comedians and they're trying to be funny. But it's just two dudes having a chat. Learning about each other and learning other things.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by other countries and cultural differences. And, to
Mhm.
me, it's genuinely interesting to know about the other comedy fans that you see on Twitter. So that's what this is all about for me.
Okay.
So
And
I think
then
we've
for
I think we've
me, I'm not
achieved
gonna
that goal.
lie. Yeah, and also this helps me out because I like accents.
I don't have an accent, Mark.
So you
What are you trying to say?
so I'm just saying anytime I get to talk to somebody from a different part of the world than me, that's cool for me because it's just like, all right, how do you sound? What's your word for this? How would you say that? It's just
Yeah, that is interesting. Like
I don't know.
the littlest things that just like you call, I think it's Silento, what we call coriander. Just that little thing, like, or what you
Oh
call them
yeah,
bell peppers and we
exactly.
call it capsicum.
Hmm.
So maybe
Yeah,
it's a
and
bit
like
more
I
English.
don't. Yeah, and I never like I told you, earlier today, I was having a bit of a shit day. That's not an
Yeah.
American saying. They say I have a bad day. I definitely picked that up from either, British or Australian television or something
We'd say
where,
I'm having a
they're
cunt of a
just like,
day
yeah. So probably it was probably, bit of a English programming there.
because Australians are very cunt centric.
Hmm.
Well,
Whereas
in the
America is
both.
very fuck centric.
Yeah. Well, we fuck too. Like we like to fuck. We're scum. We're just
No, no,
scum
no.
people.
Like, I mean, we use fuck like you guys use cunt.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah,
fuck's too
it's
soft.
it's a noun,
It's
a
too
verb.
it's too cute.
I mean,
We're a harsh land. We
yeah,
need
you could say that.
harshness.
Yeah, exactly. I was like that hard T just kind of it does something.
Yeah,
It,
my wife doesn't often say it. When she does, I know she hates that bitch, which makes
yeah,
me
that's
laugh.
generally how it's used here.
Because here it can be
It's
friendly,
just like,
like, oh, my mate, he's the funniest cunt. And that's a term of endearment.
mm-hmm,
Anyway,
exactly.
what are you going to do? I got to wrap it up because the cricket's starting and my life
Oh,
is cricket.
nice.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
All right, no problem.
So follow
right.
Mark on Twitter.
You've got the cricket. I've got
what's
the
your
workout.
what do you call it? Your at? What's your what do you call that?
Let me open the app up. It's I guess the handle, I guess.
Yeah, the handle maybe.
But
I don't know.
yeah, it's THADRKNES. Like for some reason I spelled darkness without an A and the without the E and just like
because you're edgy, man. Yeah, follow Mark on Twitter.
I used to go by Black Mark on Twitter.
Yeah. And now you're no longer Black.
I used to go by Black Mark on Twitter. It's just Mark. I don't know. It felt a little redundant. Who knows? I might pick it back up, but it's funny because I kind of have to introduce myself as that because people remember me like that because I went to a comedy show yesterday and I went and I introduced myself to the comedian and I was like Black Mark and he was just like oh yeah because I've met him at Skankfest, we've run into each other a couple times, so it's just
yeah, it becomes
it's
your identity.
One of those things that stick. Yeah. So, but I mean, right. I'm always either the Black Mark or the Big Mark, so it is what it is.
Big Black Mark. Go all in.
Exactly.
All right, thanks for coming on the show, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem, Brown Snake. You have a good one.
All right, you too, mate. Bye.
I'm like, that's what the world needs, another podcast.
That's right. From two comedians.
Yeah, my mom has a fucking podcast.